Welcome to another episode of Pipe DAO, where in this episode we are going to be trash talking each other. Ocean trash talking. This is
I'll allow it.
okay.
I'll allow it.
Okay. Sometimes jokes land, or maybe not, but just being charitable. In this blog, we are discussing DAOs and ReFis and how to help reduce ocean pollution. How to reduce ocean pollution with DAO and ReFi. And it is Noodle's blog.
It is, yes. It was the first blog I ever wrote. Yeah.
Yeah, and I have an inspiration to also sometimes read a blog, write a blog.
Read
Maybe
a
it would be.
blog.
Yeah, read a blog.
Yeah.
Someday I
And
will read a blog.
someday I will read one. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm working on it. And would you like to hear more bad jokes? We are talking about climate change here, and climate change is quite a hot topic.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
It is clever. It is clever.
We need a sound effect where there's.
We need like a big cheering or something in the background. Yeah.
Yeah. And I got another one. The hot topic of the conversation is changing as often as the climb. Maybe not for you though.
No, you've lost me.
Yeah, you got the bloody rain. Bloody rain, mate.
I heard blood rain's a real thing, but we'll talk about this off camera. Apparently, we'll discuss this later.
Yeah, maybe in certain situations you can have a rain of blood, but yeah.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, and one of the important conversations to be had about climate change is how to combat the plastic pollution. We have air pollution, we have water pollution, and one of the types of water pollution is plastic pollution. There's just too much of it. And while it might not touch you directly, although it can if you are concerned with microplastics.
Mm-hmm.
And we are here in the sector of regenerative finance. We have a link over in our blog on what it means, but essentially we do the finance part of stuff. So we do want to make some money, but we also focus on actually making an impact, what's called impact investing. So we are trying to have a positive impact on the world, whether it be environment or economics or the life of the average person and stuff like this. And the topic of this particular blog is to reduce ocean pollution. And next, we have this big text on the blog saying that it is something like really important. And one of them is normally those organizations are being led by government sector. And that creates a lot of issue with the trust. You could say we have trust issues. We're gonna work on those trust issues, man. And in fact, my end of my bachelor's project was a charity website to do with Web3. That's quite an interesting coincidence. Essentially, normally, if you want to launder money, you start a charity. That's pretty much the classic. Have you come across this?
Come across what? Laundering money or charities?
Yeah, the topic of how to avoid corruption.
Well, when it comes across to charity work, no, not really. I think if we're talking about it from like a DAO perspective, because obviously we're here to talk about climate change and how DAOs and ReFi can change that. If we're talking from a DAO perspective, then I don't think it's very corruptible because the entire system is based on the sort of the idea of a vote. If that makes sense, because DAOs are run by smart contracts which already have their rules embedded in the code. So it's not something where you could like cheat the system really. Say if you all invest and you all get a token to that specific DAO, your token is just as valid as the next person's. So you all get the idea of, you all get a vote of what to do with your money. So it's not like you're investing and then the company will take it, because that's just not how DAOs work.
That's actually defined by fungible token. Fungible token means that it's the same as any other token of the same kind.
Exactly.
You know how we have NFTs on non-fungible tokens. So, for example, you could have a dog A dog is not a token, but it's non-fungible. You can't just exchange two similar looking dogs because they are different dogs. You can't compare dogs; they are not equivalent to each other. Maybe in some sense, but not really, not to owners at least. And then there's like a token that's a fungible token. Like I can give you a pound, you can give me a pound, and then they're essentially the same thing. It doesn't matter. Nothing happened then. That's essentially how it works. And then of course, how DAO works is a whole topic of its own. But we can say that it is when you invest, whether it be you could invest your own spare change into it, or you could invest your time and effort into it, and you could get rewarded with the DAO tokens. All of them are equivalent, as Noodle said. So you can have using that the government's rights. So you can, okay. First of all, you have transparency. That's uh,
Exactly.
that's how you can see what's happening and where all the funds are going. And second,
Mm-hmm.
depending on the DAO, you can have either complete government's rights or limited government's rights or no government's rights. Well,
Mm-hmm.
but that wouldn't be a DAO, I guess then.
No, not really. Like for instance, we as a company decided very early on that if we DAOs on our system and these sort of funds and these big pockets of money that could potentially be run on the launchpad, we've made sure that we as a company are very out of that process, if that makes sense. For instance, the pot of money, there will be a vote for who sort of runs the DAO and chooses. Say if there wants to be people want to use the pot of money they've donated into a ocean cleanup DAO, and they want to use it to donate to this specific charity, the person that is overlooking the DAO, their power will be to initiate the vote, if that makes sense.
Oh, we have to say this.
Mm-hmm.
If you're concerned about the legal side of things, we got you covered. We have awesome lawyers on our
We
side.
have fantastic lawyers that we haven't met and don't know, but that we know they're out there somewhere. Big old Harvey Specter, and I promise I didn't get it wrong this time.
And you know what? If you join our DAO, you could meet the lawyers even before us,
Yeah,
because
you could get a nice little email from them maybe, but we
that
didn't.
email has nothing to do with suing you or anything else. No, no, no.
No,
Because that's how we usually associate lawyers. But no, no, no. Our lawyers are awesome.
very cool.
It's not that he just says that he's working for you, but then actually does everything his own way. No, no, no. We actually have awesome lawyers
Hmm.
whom we don't know, but they're awesome.
We're sure they're very cool. Anyway, shall we talk about more about this ocean cleanup and how the DAO that we've just been talking about could potentially fit into the idea of an sort of an ocean cleanup DAO?
What,
As
you
you
don't
said,
want to talk about lawyers anymore? I'm
we.
disappointed.
Hey, listen. They haven't answered us back. All right, I'm
Hey,
adamant. All right,
that's
they don't
fair.
get any consolation from us. All right, any consideration. We've been texting them. We've been trying to find. I don't think we've got him. Apparently, there's an accountant as well, but I've met him. He's a lovely
Hmm.
guy.
Oh, okay. Should we
Mm.
praise them? Okay, anyway.
No, I know. Well, they're good with numbers, you know.
Yeah, and so one of the good examples how we could come up, how we could lead our own ocean DAO is ocean cleanup. It's a very it's a very good case study for us to study because
Mm-hmm.
my English vocabulary is not that good. uh, what it was created actually by a 19-year-old. At least he was 19-year-old at the time, a
Mm-hmm.
Dutch called Boyan Slat.
Yes.
No need to read into that name anymore than you have to.
All I'm
uh,
saying is there was a Stoke footballer that was also named Bojan. So, or is it Bojan? But I'm just saying, I'm just throwing that out there. There is a Stoke City footballer
there are
named
many
Bojan.
ways to pronounce it. Maybe he's
He's
buoyant because when you throw him into the ocean he actually is buoyant like plastic.
or like everyone else, really.
I don't know, when I swim
Like,
I'm sinking.
are you a bit of a rock in a pool?
Yeah,
That
like
actually doesn't surprise me. I don't know why. I was when I spoke to you, I was like, this guy can't swim. There's no way.
Yeah, I tried like staying afloat, but my head just sinks.
Oh, I knew it. I knew it. Oh, anyway, sorry. Yes.
Even though I'm
Should,
a slime, slimes
so
are supposed to float, but come on.
they are supposed to float. So should we say there's a couple of people and they want to clean up the ocean? Maybe not even a couple, maybe just one, and they do research and they find Boyan Slat's company, the Ocean Cleanup Crew. Now they would be able on our system, which is run on DAOs, which are controlled by smart contracts, which are contracts where terms and conditions are written directly into the code, meaning they'll be enforced, establishing rules essentially. Um, they can create a fund, a DAO fund that they can use, which they'll get a token. They can then use their token to vote and donate to the ocean cleanup crew. This isn't something that is new. This is something Web3 has already been used in the fight against litter in the ocean. For example, there's the Earth Fund, which is a climate conscious DAO which focuses on climate conservation. It adopts Web3 technology and blockchain to achieve their goal. It will work in a similar sort of way. So, for instance, to join the Earth Fund, you will have to purchase one Earth token and have an input on how the money is invested to solve the problem. That's essentially exactly the same here. You'll put in money, not to the Ocean DAO yet, but to the not to Ocean Cleanup, sorry, but to the Ocean DAO. You will then get your token, and that token will allow you to vote on what the big pot of money fund will be used for. We've just in this scenario said that they'll be donating towards the Ocean Cleanup Crew because we did some research and we actually really like them. They look really cool, don't they, Sleazy?
Yeah, they do, and they could really use some of Web3 technology that we are having over on our side. For
Mm-hmm.
example, uh, one of their features is that they have a list of donors, donators, well, people who donated to
Mm-hmm.
their cause. And this looks a lot like what we do in Web3. We have a list of everyone who donated, contributed. We usually like to call them contributors rather than donators, because they actually do get something out of it. It's not just charity in Web3 and in our DAOs, they actually get a little bit of the profit, which is hopefully going to be more than they invest into it. We, uh, as all Web3 projects, are aiming towards that, and as well as providing impact to the overall thing. Uh, that is one thing. That is having a list and transparency of the how the money is moving. They are having regular YouTube videos, like almost every week, every couple of weeks, where they give quite a good content to everyone. That is also very similar to how Web3 operates.
Mm-hmm.
They have something else, but I forgot about the third one.
Mm.
So anyway,
I guess all we're trying to say is the systems are already there, and for instance, with DAOs and Web3, the potential for them is possibly limitless because the ocean cleanup is completely based off of or is completely run by donations because it's not a government funded project. It's completely privately funded. It's a non-profit as well. They don't really make any profit on the stuff that they do, so it's completely run on donations, and those donations include building the ships, building the netting, paying for wages, so many other things which could be very like run down. For instance, to paying wages, you can have a DAO which will just automatically send the money over bi-monthly, bi-weekly even, to people as their wages because it's all run on a smart contract. So if that's put in the rules of the DAO saying send money on these dates, this amount to these people, the DAO will just automatically do that for you. It's a really good way of actually paying employees, and that's potentially something that could be adopted for other companies in the future, a DAO run payment scheme.
and in fact, there's one more parallel I would like to make between Web3 and this kind of work. Normally, charities operate on government funding,
Hmm.
And obviously they don't work for free, but in Web3 a lot of people actually do work for free. They work their normal regular job to
Hmm.
survive, and then they work for free on their Web3 project. That's actually a lot of people who do that, and not because not, or at least not always because they're hoping for future profit, because it is highly risky in Web3, but
Hmm.
because a lot of the times, one, they like it. That is one of the biggest factors in all activities.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
two, because they see the future in, not necessarily in the profit that they're going to make, but in the activity that they're trying to pursue. And that's similar here. And just like the Earth Fund is investing into several projects, if you go to their website, you're going to see protecting 30% of the planet by 2030 by something about natural resources,
Hmm.
satellites to track the waste, something about communities of color in the US, electric buses. That's, I've never actually heard of electric buses, but I guess that's a thing. And just like they invest in many different projects, our
Electric buses.
ocean.
Sorry,
Yeah.
electric buses are they're here. They're in London. We've
Huh.
got electric buses in
Are
London.
they also red and
They
two
are.
stories?
They're the big red double deckers, but they're electric now because obviously they're always running and the fumes and stuff. But yeah, we got there's like a couple in London that I think they're trying to start because we've big news actually in climate conservation. The UK, one of the first countries to now completely cut off coal
Huh.
production. That happened the other week. So big round of applause for the UK government for doing something finally.
Yeah, whenever I think about coal, I just imagine Industrial Revolution UK, because that's like the most common footage I would see about coal.
That's true. Yes, coal. We still have a place called the Black Country, which was big for
Oh yeah,
which
I've heard about it.
yeah,
Black country
which is
because it's because of coal.
yeah. Well, yes, coal mining, just development. So there was lots of like black smoke. Black. It was a huge. Actually, you know what? If you ever come to England, they have a really good museum walkthrough of in the Black Country, and it's basically just like England, just as it turned into the Industrial Revolution. So you're walking through, there's like mines, there's boat yards, there's schools. It's a complete like British village or town that was going through the motions of the Industrial Revolution that they built. You know, one of those like historical reenactments. It's like that. It was actually, I went there on a school trip once. Very cool.
Yeah, and that could be a premonition for another blog post, maybe written by me. Watch out for that.
Potentially, yes.
Yeah, and I was saying, just as Earth Fund is funding many different kind of projects, we also would have many different kind of partners in the ocean cleanup crew.
Mhm.
We could invest into one guy, ask
You
our
meant
contributors
you meant
to
the Ocean DAO, I think.
Ocean DAO.
Yeah,
I
I
said
thought you
something
said
else.
that. Yeah, you said Ocean Cleanup Crew, which is the
Oh, right,
company, not the DAO.
right. So our DAO could invest a little bit into ocean cleanup. It could invest a little bit into Earth Fund, maybe into a third company, and we would have complete transparency with it, and have our contributors, not donors, decide on the direction we want to take with
Because
it.
that's exactly the point. Because the once the money's in the pot, it's not up to us how it's used. It's up to the people that have the specific tokens. So let's say hypothetically, we've got someone called I don't know Molly, and Molly's really big into ocean preservation, and she donates into the Ocean DAO. Uh, would she be concerned that we're going to have a hand on that money? Potentially, but we just want to make it very clear: is we don't. We have no. If we ourselves don't have a token in that specific DAO, we've got no choice of what the money happens to it. We can't take out the money and use it for ourselves, which I doubt we will do anyway. But which
Yeah.
we wouldn't do anyway. But
On the security side, of course, there's trust, like everywhere, but there's
exactly.
also multi-sig wallet. So one member cannot run off with all the money. You would need well, depending on the multi-sig, you would need either all of them to agree to this,
Hmm.
or the majority. So it really depends on how you establish the multi-sig.
Exactly. The
And
people
of
that
course, smart contracts. There are
Smart
rules that we
contracts.
cannot
Yeah,
bypass.
exactly.
Even,
Gotta love a blockchain.
like, even as founders, if we establish those rules, no one can bypass them. They are what's called immutable, so they are unchangeable. And everyone
Hmm.
can see that those are the established rules. If you know a
Exactly.
little bit about Web3, you can read it.
Yes. We actually do have a walkthrough on how someone, because as much as we're talking about the ocean down, it sounds great, it doesn't actually exist because, again, it's not something that we, as heading the companies, will or can set up. It's up to the people that donate to set up. Again, because it's completely in the hands of the user, not the company. That's the whole idea. But we'd say for a hypothetical ocean DAO or the OD as we've called it here, it shows an alternative mechanism which could be used to achieve the ocean cleanup goal. So, Sleazy, sit down. Let me talk to you for a minute. Um, so, Sleaze,
All
let's
right.
assume you want to participate in a fund to help clean up ocean DAOs. Is that something that could interest you?
Well, let's say I would. I don't know why I would, but I would.
Exactly. Well, then, lucky for you, you've come across the Ocean DAO. Now, to join the Ocean DAO, you must have a valid KYC verification and hold its governance token, which we're going to call the C token. Do you want to know how to gain a C token?
We are saying SEA, right? Not the C, the letter.
Yes, SEA.
The C token. Yeah. Yeah, do
Yes.
tell me.
Okay, so as you know, you must invest in the Ocean DAO Fund, which will allow you to join in with the fellow token holders and have an overall governance over the fund with your token. The fund is going to have a fund manager, which is a member appointed role. Again, this goes back to what we are talking about. The fund is completely within the members' power, pretty much. Well, I say power quite loosely. It's going off what you tell the blockchain system and the smart contracts to do, but you, the member, have the votes into that.
I get the
Um,
power.
yes, member,
Yay!
but this means by the token holders will vote. The token holders themselves, not the company, will vote on a member within the fund to become a fund coordinator, which will then give the specific member the role of overlooking the petitions and passing the motion to forward a petition once it gains enough traction. Having a fund coordinator means the Ocean DAO will be completely run by the token holders. Again, that goes back. It's a member run fund. Members of the Ocean DAO will then be able to submit a petition on what they believe the fund should be used for. Now, this is the important bit. Any member can submit a petition, but it's up to the group to decide whether that petition should gain traction. So let's say if the petition does gain traction and support from other members, it will go forth to the contributing committee, which will decide if they want to improve it to be submitted to the Ocean DAO wide binding vote. Now, the contributing committee will just be the fund manager. Now, they have the power to say no or yes. So it's your job to decide, vote in someone that thinks that will just allow what's it submissions to basically go through, because they're just there as sort of a quality control, because we imagined we've getting hundreds and hundreds of things coming through saying, oh, everyone vote for me to just take the pot and run. It shouldn't be allowed to even be bothered to go to general vote because it's just stupid. So we're going to have a quality control sort of department, and that's what the fund managers and people will be doing. And though the people that do that job will be voted in by members of that DAO.
Yeah, fun fact. Normally, in a lot of communities, it's not about having power, just that a lot of people don't really have time or just don't want to
Mm,
make some organizationary work. So they don't really mind having one or two or maybe five people uh, have control over some part of it
mm-hmm.
because they are the ones who need to make the effort in order to make it. So it's not a bad idea to centralize it a little bit in some cases, in some aspects of the organization.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So exactly, it's not a bad thing to have.
And in fact, we have recently added I think, was it three more projects? to our list, or was it two more projects to our list over at PGF?
We have added about, I think it was two or three, yeah, a couple projects on the Pipe General Launchpad. All of those can be donated to, same tokens, not technically part of the Ocean DAO, separate things, but a lot of them do. We do have quite a lot of climate focused projects coming through. For instance, that like water filters, stuff like that. It's very interesting stuff. Um, but one thing I just do want to get off my chest is obviously we've just talked about the Ocean DAO and that this big pot of money that is all going to be donated towards the ocean cleanup. This hypothetical, it's all going towards the ocean cleanup. But why should it stop there? Members can also vote and pass other proposals to use the fund for different projects, which will create an Ocean DAO subfund. This money, which will use money from the original fund, the Ocean DAO fund, to help fund other projects that also fit in with the original fund ideas. So it's like a snowball effect of, so you get this big pot of money, you're giving it to the ocean cleanup crew. Someone goes, hey, there's another company that works here and they do this and they clean up this and they're also that. People in the members can go, oh yeah, we can donate to them, but you don't have to just stop donating to the ocean cleanup crew and start donating there. You can create a little sub fund which will take money from the big pot, which you might not be using, and then give it immediately back to the sub fund, and that sub fund can go on and then donate to another company. And that can happen for many different companies. You can get sub funds from the main pot, send it to different companies. Imagine it like a big spider web, all connected around the original Ocean DAO fund. And that's what could be used. That's what the Ocean DAO and DAOs can be used for, creating this whole network of donations, all based around this one big pot of money, completely central, or not, was it completely just making donations as easy as possible, because you can just donate to the one and it can be used for the many. Does that make sense to you, Sleazy?
Yeah, very much so. And while this Ocean DAO is not a thing that we have at the moment, we could have it in the future. Who knows? But
We could
because,
have it in the future, yeah. It's
yeah,
up to the
it's
members.
it, if you remember correctly, we have awesome lawyers, and
We do
because of
have
this,
awesome.
we have two different companies. One is PGF, the other one is Pipe Company. I think that was the naming. Uh, they are the ones responsible for the projects. We don't know what they're gonna throw out next. You could ask them in the LinkedIn over in our link tree down in the description.
Yeah.
But
We've got
yes,
a Discord and a Telegram as well. If you
and the Telegram
And a Telegram, yes.
and this podcast.
And this podcast, yeah. But there's many ways of getting in contact. Obviously, we've got the website as well, the link tree, which will take you to your preferred, or allow you to choose your preferred method of communication, what group you want to be a part of, and whatnot.
Oh yeah, and remember, while we have sort of like an index fund with the projects, so
Mm-hmm.
you invest into token, and then all of the projects cumulatively yield profits.
Mm-hmm.
So you take an average out of all of them. While that is generally how our system works, you could
Mm-hmm.
also invest into any specific projects on our list in particular. You would have to figure out the details with them. You could always just ask Rob Steele for the details how you could do that. But that's a possibility that's available to anyone. You could be even on their board if you have the time, commitment, and maybe some skills that are necessary for it. And
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, and that is all for this block. We already have the content for the next block. I don't remember what it was, but we'll start working on it immediately. And,
Yes, we will. Yeah.
and we'll see you next time.
All right. Goodbye, everyone.